afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Flight 224 to New York City's LaGuardia Airport. Please can the remaining passengers take your seats as soon as possible as we are ready to leave the airport and take to the runway. Please pay attention to the screens in front of you where they will shortly play the safety demonstrations. The seatbelt signs have been switched on. Please ensure that your seatbelt is fully fastened. The seatbelt sign will not be switched off until the captain switches this off while we're in the air. Please do not use any facilities such as the toilets during this time. Remain seated. Once we're in the air, we'll let you know when you can stand up and you can use the facilities. We'll also then commence our catering services today, where we will be providing you with a complimentary meal and drinks. We'll start with the drink service, followed by your meal. You can find the meal card in the seat in front of you. Today we have roast chicken, beef, we have a chickpea dal, and we also have a tomato pasta. That's all. Please have a safe flight, and remember to watch the safety demonstration.
Excuse me. Are you okay? Are you sure? Yeah, I noticed your leg was shaking. Okay, no, that's totally understandable. I used to be a nervous flyer too. Flying's really stressful at times, and especially a long flight like this. But these planes are the safest planes. Yeah. Well, I'm heading to New York on a business trip. And you? Nice. Amazing. Is this the first time you've flown this route? Okay. Yeah. I used to get really nervous, and after a couple of years of flying all the time, I've learned all of the sounds of the planes and everything that happens on a plane, and I can tell you that honestly you are on one of the safest modes of transport, and actually it's going to be really relaxing for you. I know it's getting over takeoff, isn't it? Well, it shouldn't be long, and once you get over takeoff, I always say, once you hear the little beep and all the air hostesses get up, then everything's fine, because the captain wouldn't put off the seatbelt signs, would he? Until everything's fine. So don't worry, it's fine. Honestly, it's fine. I mean, let me know if you're stressed. I have loads of things with me that help with stress, just in case, because I know that sometimes I can have a bit of an anxiety, a bit of a panic attack sometimes mid-air, so I do actually have loads of things with me that can help calm you. Yeah, so honestly, if you're feeling stressed, just let me know and I'm sure I can help you. I mean, I think we are taking off very soon, so yeah, you'll be fine, don't worry. I do like this bit. I do get a bit nervous as well, just this bit. I'm just a bit fidgety, but don't mind me. It's honestly fine. Don't worry about things. It's absolutely fine. Look out the window. There's so much we can see here. It's fine. So good. So good. You know, deep breaths helps. Just breathe in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now switched off the seatbelt signs. You may now use the toilet facilities or go into your overhead luggage. We will shortly be commencing our onboard service, starting with the drinks from the top to the bottom of the economy cabin.
Shake it off. It's good.
If you need anything, please hit the assistance button in the panel above you.
See?
Thank you.
It's much more stable now. Your legs even stop shaking. It's fine. See, it's all good. All good. We're good. Yeah. And look, the arrow says this will come through the cabin any moment. It'll be turned off the little button, so we'll be fine. Yeah. So we're good. We're good. Okay. Right. Sorry, I did get a little bit anxious. I promise I will. Are you on your own traveling today? Me too. Well, we can keep each other company if you'd like. Oh, I'm just gonna put this magazine away. Do you know, I did bring a sleep story as well. I have this book with adult sleep stories that sometimes can help you get to sleep, because I think the best flights are the ones that you can fall asleep on, because we've got quite a long way to go, and I always prefer to see if I can try and sleep. So maybe that would be a good idea for you. Maybe I could try and help you sleep, and then I can help myself sleep. See, that would be a good idea. A good idea. Well, with that in mind, do you want... I got with me some water. I also have, though, something stronger. This is a pink gin and diet lemonade. You're not really meant to bring alcohol aboard, and I think we will get some alcohol served, but it may take a little bit of time. We've got a huge cabin to go through. Would you like this? Here, just stow it in there, like that. Just so that nobody sees. That will help take the edge off. I bring it with me just in case. No, it's fine. Honestly, I've got my water. I'll have some wine when it comes. I know, because we're right at the back. Sometimes it takes a long time for them to go through everyone, because they start from the front in economy, obviously, and come all the way. It sucks a little bit. I never ever get into business class, even though I'm traveling for business. My job just cheapskates. No, it's just the usual. I don't know. Yeah, I wanna know who works for a company that would fly them business class all the way to New York. I need to move to that company. How's your pink gin lemonade? It's helping a little bit. Good. You know, I have something else for you. I've got a lot of things that might help actually. But for now, this here might help you. It is a little bag. can go around your neck, and it just like helps you feel secure and warm and safe, especially like I find it helps me sleep when I travel. And I notice you don't have any like neck pillows or anything with you, so you can have this. I just love the sound. Here. Yeah, just put it right around like that. I'll not do it for you. I'll drop it back of it to you. Yeah, use that. It'll be absolutely fine. There. There you go. All good. All good. Just looking at this. Where is it? This is women's health. It can be quite good sometimes. There's like different body workouts. I like to read it sometimes on my way to New York, because then in the hotel sometimes they don't have the best of gyms, so it can be really useful to do different like in the hotel workouts. So that's why I read it. There's some interesting things in here. Sorry, I'm just going to talk a little bit of nonsense to you, because I know myself that when you're still panicking, somebody distracting you is very useful. Yeah, and I know it's been a little bit bumpy as well, so okay, I'll show you. There's this bit that's got all these facts in it, and I think you should read it. You can use this one. Heavy sleeper says a new study by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found that insomnia patients with a psychiatric disorder such as depression, anxiety, or ADHD experience reduced insomnia severity, improved sleep quality, and less daytime sleepiness when they slept with a weighted blanket. That's interesting. Very interesting. Apparently, watching high quality nature programs can help lift your mood and reduce the boredom associated with periods of isolation, according to the researchers of the University of Exeter. So it says if you've already completed David Attenborough's programs, you can try Netflix Night on Earth or My Octopus Teacher for your next natural high. I think on the TVs on the back of the seats, I'm pretty sure they do some documentaries as well, so that could be something you could listen to help you kind of like fall asleep as well. I think the trolley is slowly coming down. Sometime yet to go, but it could get here within the next hour. Wait all that time again for dinner. Although, I have to say, I have been loving the airplane food. Although since I became vegetarian, there's not been a lot of good options for me. I used to love the chicken and the potatoes. I think now it's just like tomato pasta. Not very nutritious, but can't really complain. Get it for free after all. So, this one says, okay, behold the power of a good brew. A new study by the University of Reading found that a diet rich in flavonols, plant-based compounds found in foods such as apples, berries, and tea, could lead to lower blood pressure, particularly in those with existing hypertension. This is link up as well. So step 1 for helping out a pal in need: make friends with their friends. So says new research in the journal Social Psychology Quarterly. Scientists found that people felt they had more support from a group of friends or family who all knew and liked each other, compared with the same number of separate close relationships. Smell the roses. Okay. Forgot where you stashed that dairy milk? Please. In a new study, participants tasted or smelled 8 different foods on separate tables in a room and were more likely to recall the locations of high-calorie foods, such as chocolate and crisps, over the low-calorie fruit and veg. Why? Human minds have evolved to seek out energy-dense food. Blame your ancestors. That is so my problem. I love sweets. And speaking of sweet treats, would you like to share a crunchy with me? Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a while for them to come down after dinner, so might as well. Here you go. So good. I have a big sweet tooth. And it says chocolate. While it's true that running places heavy loads on the knee joints, new research indicates that the cartilage may be strengthened and bulked up in the process, meaning you can stick to the naysayers who maintain your joints are stuffed. Getting your cardio fix won't increase runner's arthritis risk or ruin your knees. After all, ideal. Just reading that on there, they were saying apparently if you like go too strong with weight loss, it can affect your sleep and it can make you like jolt awake in the middle of the night. How are you feeling? Yeah. Well, we're pretty high up now anyway. Can't really see much for the clouds, so I always think that's a good time when everything's a bit more settled. You're normally, what are we, probably about 37,000 feet or something. And it's always really settled. They always find us a really nice, relaxing stream of airflow to go on. So there's like minimal turbulence. And this plane is a 747, which means it's got 4 engines. And I always find them safer, like in my head. So, yeah. You feeling better? Good. Okay, I'm pleased. I do have some stress balls for you. I bring these, so instead of like causing, shaking, I sometimes bring these like stress balls. They're so useful. Like, look at this one. It like makes all these like weird, very strange like little things. And this one has got like little bits in it. It's just like really helpful to make you feel better, honestly. It's just so good. Why don't you? Do you want this one? Good choice. Because I like this one. You can tell. Just distracts you when things are a little bit stressful, There's such a big queue at the toilets. Always seems to be like that. I think people just stand at the toilets because their feet get sore by them. We've not even been on this plane for very long and people are already setting up. Classic. One of my peeve hates is when it's two. The first one is when you land and everybody rushes to get onto the aisle, even though you could be standing in the aisle to get the steps or the tunnel thing to the plane. You could be standing there for like half an hour and people will stand in the middle of the aisle. Like, where are you gonna go? And also, when you're collecting your baggage, I cannot stand people that stand right at the very edge off the like little conveyor belt so that nobody else can see the luggage. If everybody just made a nice organized circle around the conveyor belt and only stood up there when their luggage came, then life would be so much easier and less stressful. Yeah, they're my 2 pet peeves. Anyhow, honestly, I'm never gonna sleep having this. Would you like any more? Okay, don't judge me on this one, but sometimes when I'm really stressed, I bring this, and hopefully if nobody sees me, I like sit and do this. It feels so good. Here, do you want me to do it to you? See, that feels better. I'm sure it feels much better. Oh, it's so good. Tingly. Very tingly. I listen to these categories of videos called ASMR videos. Have you heard of them? Yay. They're so good. I download some of them when I fly, but I need to get ones that are quite loud because it's so loud in here with the plane. It's really difficult to hear them sometimes. But they don't always help. And because it's such a long flight, I always bring face masks. I like to take my makeup off, like into the end. I like to wear a face mask. Would you like to keep one of these? I'll tell you what I've got. I've got sheet mask for detox, natural charcoal. I've got a purifying sheet mask as well with glycolic acid. I have a soothing sheet mask with a lotus flower. I have an anti-stress mask with aloe vera and Atlantic aloe. And I have a brightening sheet mask with 24 karat gold. You want the gold one? Of course you do. Put it down there for you. Just all these like little things that I have to do in such a routine when it comes to flying, honestly. You're like, oh my goodness, why am I sitting next to her? Okay. And I think it's really helpful to help you sleep is I bring a bag of lavender with me because smell that. It smells like really homely. I think it's so much better. I wonder if we could like tie it to her seat. Like maybe like there. Put it on that one. There we go. Now we'll smell the lavender. That's good. Yeah, I don't think they're coming down here anytime soon. I wonder where we are. My little map's not working. I like to normally follow it, like where we are exactly. in the sky, but yeah, it's not being loaded. Is yours the same? Yeah, I've had that before. No, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's just sometimes the tracking system that feeds into it doesn't work all the time. So they've obviously not been able to reset it when they turned around, because this plane came in, I think, from Miami. So it's obviously been an issue with it. But it's like not epic, it's not a big issue, it's just the entertainment. Don't worry. It happens all the time. Sorry. Why don't I read you a story? A sleep story. I think they would calm us both down. And you never know, you may end up sleeping by the end of it. That's true. So it's bedtime stories for stressed out adults. And I'm going to read you the Spinner and the Monk's excerpt. Okay. So the schoolmistress had told me I should find snowdrops behind San Tommaso. If she had not asserted such confident knowledge, I should have doubted her translation of personation. She meant Christmas roses all the while. However, I went looking for snowdrops. The walls broke down suddenly, and I was out in a grassy olive orchard, following a track beside pieces of fallen, overgrown masonry. So I came to skirt the brink of a steep little gorge, at the bottom of which a stream was rushing down its steep slant to the lake. Here I stood to look for my snowdrops. The grassy, rocky bank went down steep for my feet. I heard water tittle-tattling away in deep shadow below. There were pale flecks in the dimness, but these I knew were primroses, so I scrambled down. Looking up out of the heavy shadow that lay in the cleft, I could see, right in the sky, grey rocks shining translucent in the pure empyrean. Are they so far up? I thought. I did not dare to say, am I so far down? But I was uneasy. Nevertheless, it was a lovely place, in the cold shadow, complete, when one forgot the shining rocks far above. It was a complete shadowless world of shadow. Primroses were everywhere in nests of pale bloom upon the dark, steep face of the cleft, and tongues of fern hanging out, and here and there, under the rods and twigs of bushes, were tufts of wrecked Christmas roses, nearly over, but still, in the coldest corners, the lovely buds like handfuls of snow. There had been such crowded, sumptuous tufts of Christmas roses everywhere in the stream gullies during the shadow of winter that these few remaining flowers were hardly noticeable. I gathered instead the primroses that smelt of earth and of the weather. There were no snowdrops. I had found the day before a bank of crocuses, pale, fragile, lilac-coloured flowers, with dark veins prickling up keenly like myriad little lilac-coloured flames among the grass, under the olive trees. And I wanted very much to find the snowdrops hanging in the gloom, but there were not any. I gathered a handful of primroses, then I climbed suddenly quickly out of the deep watercourse, anxious to get back to the sunshine before the evening fell. Up above I saw the olive trees in the sunny golden grass and sunlit grey rocks immensely high up. I was afraid lest the evening would fall whilst I was groping about like an otter in the damp and the darkness, that the day of sunshine would be over. Soon I was up in the sunshine again on the turf under the olive trees, reassured. It was the upper world of glowing light, and I was safe again. All the olives were gathered, and the mills were going night and day, making a great acrid scent of olive oil in preparation by the lake. The little stream battled down. A mule driver hewed to his mills on the Strada Vecchia. High up on the Strada Nuova, the beautiful new military high road which winds winds the beautiful curves up the mountainside, crossing the same stream several times in clear leaping bridges, travelling cut out of sheer slope high above the lake, winding beautifully and gracefully forward to the Austrian frontier, where it ends, high up on the lovely swinging road, in the strong evening sunshine. I saw a bullock wagon moving like a vision, though the clanking of the wagon and the crack of the bullock whip responded close to my ears. Everything was clear and sun-coloured up there, clear grey rocks partaking of the sky, tawny grass and scrub, browny green spires of cypresses, and in the midst of grey-green olives steaming down the lakeside, there were no shadow, only clear sun substance built up to the sky, a bullock wagon moving slowly in the high sunlight along the uppermost terrace of the military road. It sat in the warm stillness of the transcendent afternoon. The 4 o'clock steamer was creeping down the lake from the Austrian end, creeping under the cliffs. Far away the Verona side, beyond the island, lay fused in dim gold. The mountain opposite was so still that my heart seemed to fade in its beating as if it would be still. All was perfectly still, pure substance. The little steamer on the floor of the Wirralds below, the mules down the road cast no shadow. They were too pure sun substance travelling on the surface of the sun-made world. A cricket hopped near me. Then I remembered that it was Saturday afternoon when a strange suspension comes over the world, and then just below me I saw 2 monks walking in their garden between the naked bony vines, walking in their wintry garden of bony vines and olive trees, their brown cassocks passing between the brown vine stalks, their heads bare to the sunshine. Sometimes a glint of light on their feet strode from under their skirts. It was so still, everything so perfectly suspended, that I felt them talking. They marched with the peculiar march of monks, a long, loping stride, their heads together, their skirts swaying slowly. 2 brown monks with hidden hands sliding under the bony vines, and beside the cabbages, their heads always together in hidden converse. It was as if I were attending with my dark soul to their inaudible undertone. All the time I sat still in silence. I was one with them, a partaker, though I could hear no sound of their voices. I went with the long stride of their skirted feet that slid springless and noiseless from end to end of the garden and back again. Their hands were kept down at their sides, hidden in the long sleeves and the skirts of their robes. They did not touch each other, nor gesticulate as they walked. There was no motion save the long, furtive stride and the heads leaning together. Yet there was an eagerness in their conversation, almost like shadow creatures ventured out of their cold, obscure element. They went backwards and forwards in their wintry garden, thinking nobody could see them. Across, above them, was the faint, rousing dazzle of snow. They never looked up, but the dazzle of snow began to glow as they walked. The wonderful faint, ethereal flush of the long range of snow in the heavens at evening began to kindle. Another world was coming to pass, the cold, rare night. It was dawning and exquisite. Icy rose upon the long mountain summit opposite. The monks walked backwards and forwards, talking in the first undershadow. And I noticed that above the snow, frail in the bluish sky, a frail moon had put forth like a thin, scalloped film of ice, floated out on the slow current of the coming night. And a bell sounded. And still the monks were pacing backwards and forwards with a strange neutral regularity. The shadows were coming across everything because of the mountains in the west. Already the olive wood where I sat was extinguished. This was the world of the monks, the rim of pallor between night and day. Here they paced, backwards and forwards in the neutral, shadowless light of shadow. Neither the flare of day nor the completeness of night reached them. They paced the narrow path of twilight, treading in the neutrality of the law. Neither the blood nor the spirit spoke in them, only the law, the abstraction of the average. The infinite is positive and negative, but the average is only neutral, and the monks trod backwards and forward down the line of neutrality. Meanwhile, on the length of mountain ridge, the snow grew rosy, incandescent, like heaven breaking into blossom. After all, eternal not being and eternal being are the same. In the rosy snow that shone in heaven over a darkened earth was the ecstasy of consummation. Night and day are one, light and dark are one, both the same in the origin and the issue, both the same in the moment of ecstasy, light fused in darkness and darkness fused in light, as in the rosy snow above the twilight. But in the monks it was not ecstasy, in them it was neutrality, the under earth. Transcendent above the shadowed twilight earth was the rosy snow of ecstasy. But spreading far over us, down below, was the neutrality of the twilight of the monks, the flesh neutralizing the spirit neutralizing the flesh, the law of the average asserted. This was the monks as they paced backwards and forwards. The moon climbed higher. Away from the snowy, fading ridge, she became gradually herself. Between the roots of the olive tree was a rosy-tipped daisy going to sleep. I gathered it and put it among the frail, moony little bunch of primroses, so that its sleep should warm the rest. Also, I put in some little periwinkles that were very blue, reminding me of the eyes of the old woman. The day was gone, the twilight was gone, and the snow was invisible as I came down the side of the lake. Only the moon, white and shining, was in the sky, like a woman glorying in her own loveliness as she loiters superbly to the gaze of the world, looking sometimes through the fringe of dark olive leaves, sometimes looking at her own superb quivering body, wholly naked in the water of the lake. My little old woman was gone. She, all day sunshine, would have none of the moon. Always she must live like a bird, looking down on all the world at once, so that it lay all subsidiary to herself the wakeful consciousness hovering over the world like a hawk, like a sleep of wakefulness, and, like a bird, she went to sleep as the shadows came. She did not know the yielding up of the senses and the possession of the unknown through the senses, which happens under a superb moon. The all-glorious sun knows none of these yieldings up. He takes his away, and the daisies at once go to sleep, and the soul of the old spinning woman also closed up at sunset. The rest was asleep as a cessation. It is all so strange and varied. The dark-skinned Italians ecstatic in the night and the moon, the blue-eyed old women ecstatic in the busy sunshine, the monks in the garden below who are supposed to unite both, passing only in the neutrality of the average. Where then is the meeting point? Where in mankind is the ecstasy of light and dark together, the supreme transcendence of the afterglow, day hovering in the embrace of coming light, like two angels embracing in the heavens, like Eurydice in the arms of Orpheus, or Persephone embraced by Pluto. Where is the supreme ecstasy in mankind, which makes day a delight and night? Purpose on ecstasy, and concourse in ecstasy, and single abandon of the single body and soul, also in ecstasy under the moon. Where is the